In 1913, psychologist Carl Jung experienced a vision so intense it shook his sense of reality. He saw a massive flood of blood washing over Europe, with bodies drifting in the dark water. It was a terrifying, visceral premonition that made him fear he might be losing his grip on sanity. Yet, he chose to record every detail of these visions in his private journals. Just 1 year later, World War I erupted, mirroring the catastrophe he had witnessed in his mind. Jung did not label this a supernatural prophecy or a mystical gift. Instead, he viewed it as evidence that the unconscious mind holds truths the conscious mind ignores. From this unsettling experiment, he developed a powerful tool we can use today, active imagination. To understand its power, we must look at his history as the protege and eventual rival of Freud. Freud viewed the unconscious as a mere trash bin for repressed, unwanted urges. Jung saw something far more complex, an inner world filled with its own logic and wisdom. After their professional split, Jung entered a period he called his confrontation with the unconscious. For 6 long years, he allowed disturbing images and voices to rise from his depths. Rather than suppressing these manifestations, he chose to engage with them directly. He talked to these inner figures, wrote down their words, and even sketched their forms. This deep, private work eventually became the famous Red Book, a map of his inner journey. Most self-improvement advice today treats you like a single, unified decision maker. It tells you to set goals, build habits, and push through resistance with sheer force. Jung's radical insight was that you are not one voice, but a committee of conflicting parts. There is the part that wants to quit your job and the part terrified of instability. There is the part that wants to speak your truth and the part that fears rejection. Jung called these disowned, uncomfortable aspects of ourselves the shadow. They are not inherently evil, just unacknowledged parts of your personality. Most people live their entire lives being controlled by parts they have never actually met. You might react to your boss with the same fear you once felt toward your father. You might sabotage your own success the moment a relationship starts to feel good. You might feel a hollow, persistent anxiety that you simply cannot name or explain. Willpower rarely fixes this because it is just one voice trying to shout down the others. Jung's method works differently. Instead of fighting, you sit down and have a conversation. The method is surprisingly simple, stripped of all academic jargon. Step 1 is to drop in. Find a quiet space, put away your phone, and let your mind settle. Wait until a specific feeling, a recurring image, or a figure surfaces in your awareness. It might be a memory that haunts you or a mood like dread or longing. Jung believed these are not random distractions, but messages from your inner world. Step 2 is to give it a voice by writing a dialogue on paper. Write as you, and then write as the feeling itself, asking it questions like what it wants. This feels strange at first, but it is the most critical part of the process. You must let it answer honestly, without censoring what you think it should say. Step 3 is to follow the conversation rather than trying to direct it. Resist the urge to steer the dialogue toward a tidy, comfortable resolution. Let the imagined figure surprise you, contradict you, or even say things you dislike. If you are steering the conversation, you are just talking to yourself in a costume. The real value lies in the parts of the dialogue you did not expect. Step 4 is to take it seriously, but not literally, as you are not hearing spirits. You are giving symbolic form to psychological material that is usually too diffuse to grasp. Once it is on paper as a character, you can negotiate with it directly. You can understand its fear instead of being hijacked by it during a stressful day. People who practice this describe how recurring anxieties become manageable conversations. That switch from being the feeling to talking to the feeling is the mechanism of change. Modern therapy has rediscovered this, but Jung was doing it alone in 1916. The mechanism is externalization. As a character, your prefrontal cortex comes back online. You stop being flooded by emotion and start being curious about its source. Curiosity is the doorway to understanding the parts of us we have exiled. They run the show from the basement until we go downstairs and turn on the light. You do not need 6 years. You need 15 minutes and a notebook. Tonight, Pick one feeling you have been avoiding and write its name at the top of the page. Ask it what it wants you to know and write the answer in its voice without editing. Do this weekly to map the architecture of your mind and stop managing mere symptoms. Jung's legacy traces back to the radical decision to stop running and start a conversation. The only question left is whether you are ready to pick up the pen.